Welcome to Envato Tuts Plus Premium. This course is titled Creating Vector Art, and this lesson is Final Touches with Gradients and Transparency. So now as this illustrated project comes to a close, we're going to be putting on the final touches of detailing and micro vector building, just little areas that need a little more work. And I'm going to also cover gradients and transparency. And the reason why I'm covering that is because you can really pull off some powerfully simple methods in order to leverage gradients, transparency, and also some blend modes to add depth and really bring your vector illustration to life and carry it on to its final form. And that's what this video is all about. We're pretty close to being done with this illustration, but the last part that I want to go over with you is the using gradients and transparencies. You can create all kinds of depth and really help pull out detail and push things back and give dimension to an illustration. And it's such an easy thing to do. Once I show you how to do this, I think you'll start doing it on a lot of your illustrative type projects. And first and foremost is, if we look at this and we look at the face, you know, it looks really good, but it would look even better with more some more shading, some more detail. And if I turn on this layer called Gradient Effects, just watch the difference. It just adds a lot of nice shadows and depth to the overall piece. These are very simple to do. If we turn off all the layers except the Gradient Effects layer, you'll see that these, if we go to keyline mode, all these are just shapes filled with gradients, radial gradients, so like this one, set to a color, fading to white, set to multiply, and then various opacities in order to pop it out and to make things look better. Now when it's set to multiply, the white becomes transparent. If it's on normal, you know, you're going to get this. So you'll want this to go to multiply, so it'll fade to 0 alpha, basically transparent. That's what you can. Now you can take this and you can set this to be transparent, but I find it works better. Sometimes this will leave a ghost kind of image if you blend to 0 opacity, whereas if you have it to multiply, you tend to avoid that kind of banding issue. It's just a technical production value thing. So if we turn on the base color, you can see how these interplay with that. And so as we build up the face detail, you know, it's above all the face detail. And it's basically to help punch up areas. So if specifically the nose, it helps lift the nose off, gives some nice darker shadows where the nose meets the inner edge of the eyes to set that off. But it also includes these, which are basically subtle highlights. Once again, blending out, and in this case we are using a 0 opacity that it blends out to, because if they're light and you set it to multiply, they'll just disappear. So you want to keep those on normal. So shadows multiply, highlights you don't want to multiply, and you'll want to adjust the opacity. By the way, all these you'll be able to kind of deconstruct on your own with this source file that comes with this video. If we add the mouth in, now I still think a little shading needs to go here, so I'm going to go ahead and create that and kind of show you how it's done. So we're going to create just a basic gradient. Now I've gone ahead, like a good chef with a cooking program, I've pre-baked my graphic style. So this sets my gradient the way I want it. The color blending to white, set to multiply, and the opacity is 45%. I'm going to distort this somewhat, rotate it, scale it just a little bit, and we're going to make sure we're on the gradient effects layer, and we're going to purposely put it here. So you see how it's over the lip. You know, that's not really what I want. We're going to make it smaller. We're going to slide it up right about here. There. Just to help pop off that nose a little bit. And that's literally all you need to do. Now, if you go through this file, you'll see that if you go down, we're going to lock these so we don't move them. If you go down to the beard, I have one here on the beard. So if I pull that away, you can see how this doesn't look bad, but it looks better with a little shadow down there. So once again, all that is a radial blend of the brown. And once again, this is blending to a 0% opacity, and it's set to multiply. Now I could have done white here, but because it's a colored darker background, it tends to work better not to do that on a darker background. Lighter background, you don't see distinct banding, but you can on a darker background. So so I use these same blend modes in the very background too. So if we turn on the flames and the wings, you know, the wings are there, but I need a background. Well, on this background, this is one big, let's zoom out so you can see what I'm talking about. This is one big radial shape for the background. But I also have these littler radial shapes, and that's just to punch out the wings. If I take that out, this the wings kind of disappear a little bit, don't look quite as well executed, and it's kind of getting lost. So adding these little types of details using radial gradients combined with transparency blend modes such as multiply and adjusting your opacity is going to help you to create the kind of shadowing effect you want to get in your artwork. And you can use those after you're done building your shapes and you start fleshing out the colors. It'll help you to kind of model your artwork. And once again, if you create your hierarchy, you know, in this case we have an illustration that goes here's the beard and the hair, once again using the blend mode here in the radial blend, then the face, basic face shapes, face detail, mouth, here's the gradient shapes, the gradient effect details we're just going over. Once again, these if we're going to look at that again, this isn't a radial, this is just a linear blend, but same principle, just instead of a circular radial, it's a linear blend. Eyes, wings, and the fire, and then the background. So having your layers organized in a hierarchy like this makes using these kind of effects with gradients and blend modes more effective. So we went from our refined sketch and we created our final illustration, from refined sketch to final vector art. I hope these principles and methods are going to help you to create the kind of artwork you want to create. Thanks for watching.